Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Podcast weekend time. So we skipped unsustainable. We're going to kind of go over a little bit of that here. Brandon has some players that he thinks are unsustainably high or unsustainably low in his 10 takes. I do not, but I'm going to agree or disagree with him, and maybe I'll come up with some on the side there. Also, you know what? Actually, I have a little trade that I made that I think a lot of you guys are going to judge me for, but we can get into it a little bit later. So let's start off with 10 takes here for the weekend. And I'm going to start off with my first one, which is about Connor Sherry, who looks to be the guy that got the top line with Crosby instead of Dominic Simone. Not entirely surprising since Sherry has history with Crosby. But what is your take now on Connor Sherry? Are you trying to grab him or are you kind of tepid?
I treat him the same as Zucker. He's going to get pretty good even strength points, but he doesn't have power play upside. So I think his total offensive upside is limited.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think he's a good streamer. I think they're both good streamers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not going to get power play points out of it, and they're hard to come by. So if I'm holding somebody long term, they better be able to generate something on the power play, unless they do more than just score points, which neither of those guys do. They score points and they don't do power play points. So in Cats leagues, that doesn't give you much. In points leagues, they're a little bit more valuable, but still not crazy. Okay, so I didn't really do an unsustainable version of this. It's more just like guys I'm high on, guys I'm low on. Most of them are somewhat related to recent events, whether that's the trade deadline or whatever else. So I'll just go through I have 6 of each. So you can have some reactions to this. Not so much about sustainability again. This is more about kind of things that have happened recently that have affected most of these players. First one I'm high on is Andreas Athanasiou.
Yep. So
he actually saw a little bit of power play time with the top power play with McDavid, Draisaitl. That's it. The rest of it doesn't matter. I mean, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but sure. Not very much, but it seems like maybe they were trying a different line at one point. So if that sticks, and I did kind of hint at the trade deadline show that he may be able to replace Chiasson up there, that may happen. It's definitely not a guarantee. He saw a very small amount of time on that power play, but it is possible. His goal, if you saw it, was kind of whatever. It was just a tap in. It was closer to Ennis's goal than anything, but you'll take that 2 points in his first game on the McDavid line. Not bad. The next one I have here, I think is not going to be on a lot of radars, and that's Adrian Kempe. He seems to be the one that's benefited the most from the Toffoli trade, and maybe a little bit less so, but also from the injury to Jeff Carter. He is sitting right now on top line and top power play, which I didn't see coming. He's somehow bumped Iafallo down, which I also didn't see coming because Iafallo's been playing pretty well in his own right, but he's playing on the left wing with Kopitar and Brown, and that same kind of trio with Iafallo as well is together on the first power play unit. He's looked better recently. He's seeing a huge increase in shots, which is kind of related to his big increase in ice time. He actually throws the body, so he seems like a player that should be on more radars than he is right now. There's no guarantee he's going to stay top line, but I picked him up in one league. I'm considering picking him up in a couple more, just for just to see where it goes. It's not that what's this team? The Kings have the best playoff schedule or anything, but especially not if you are in quarterfinals on March 2nd. But they it's not terrible either, I guess. So Adrian Kempe, somebody to pay attention to. Next one is Pavel Francouz. Have talked about him enough, I think. He's gone north of 50% ownership, spiking up recently. He may see some drop-off tomorrow after this game is over, but he shouldn't. He's done well. He's continuing to do well. He could be a rest of season ad, probably is in most leagues. He's still only about 60% owned. I think he should be higher than that. Next up is Duncan Keith. Believe it or not, I like Duncan Keith.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Yeah, and he's when he gets this opportunity, he tends to go, do pretty well with it, at least for a little while. So he is playing a lot of minutes, and he's playing top power play again. He's got a bunch of points in his last handful of games. Somebody to keep an eye on, and he gets a bunch of blocks as well. So if you need blocks, he's another guy you can be looking at. Got another defenseman here in Ethan Bear. Ethan Bear is apparently taking top power play for now. Again, this is another player that's not guaranteed, and his ownership is pretty low. But the peripherals have also been there as far as shot production, and a little bit of the other stuff, hits and blocks and whatnot, but not a ton there. He is interesting in deep leagues, watchable in others probably, but I kind of compare him to Jacob Slavin. Slavin's like 60-something% owned, and they're essentially doing the same thing right now. My last one here, we already talked about, is Connor Sherry. Again, I'm high on him, but only as a streamer, really. His point production will be okay, probably, but I don't think it's going to like blow your socks off or anything because no power play exposure.
Blow your socks off.
Blow your socks off.
Wow. We've used that a few times this year.
Yeah.
I think we have.
Moving into the lows, though, the first one I have here is Tyler Ennis. So if I'm high on Athanasiou, I am low on Ennis. I think he's fine, but I don't think I see him. First of all, I don't see him sticking top line rest of season. I think Ennis is a fine player, and really any winger is actually better than or as good as every other winger on Edmonton right now. So it's as good to be his place to have as anybody else's. But I think if anybody's going to lose a spot, he'll be the first one to lose it, as opposed to Athanasiou. And I really don't see him getting top power play. Like I mentioned, I do think there's an opportunity for Athanasiou to get it, and he has shown some time on the power play, but I don't see Ennis getting that, and that's kind of his upside winds up being limited in a similar way to Sherry, but I think his likelihood of staying on top line is even lower than Sherry's is.
Fun fact about Tyler Ennis. According to Daily Faceoff and the Corsica rating, there is not another winger, aside from RNH, that is better than Tyler Ennis. Aside from Athanasiou. Athanasiou is better.
RNH, is he even a winger? I don't know.
Yeah, they have him listed as winger. Draisaitl in the middle. It doesn't matter. Either way. Chiasson is 108. The next best after Ennis. Ennis, by the way, is ranked 64th best left wing. The next best winger there is Josh Archibald, who's a 90 right winger. The next best left wing is Marcus Granlund, apparently 135.
Wow.
So
the thing is, when Cassian comes back, it makes you wonder what'll happen if he gets an opportunity back up there or what. If that does happen, I don't know. Do they play Athanasiou left? Could be.
Yeah, potentially. They probably do something like that. But, I mean, for now, I like Ennis a little bit more than you do in the short term. I just don't. I wouldn't consider him a long-term grab.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know he's going to have a good playoff schedule, but I feel like he might trick you into thinking he should be owned when he shouldn't if he starts to fall off. Thatcher Demko is my next one here. He's being picked up a lot for good reason, right? We've got Markstrom out now, but I just don't know, considering what he's been showing us this season, that he's ready for this starting role. So I get a lot of people are picking him up because he's getting a starting role, but there's a real good chance he doesn't do very well with it. So it kind of depends. If it's a saves league and you need a starter, if you're in a league where starting goalies are just worth something just by sheer volume numbers, then fine. But I think there's better options as far as a total. Like, I'd rather have Saros, and I think Saros is about the same ownership percentage.
I'd rather have Georgiev.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people are high. Like, a lot of people I think are higher on Demko than Georgiev. Like, I've seen a lot of must-add attached Demko.
I hate that phrase so much.
I know. I've seen a lot of must-add when it comes to Demko. I feel like I haven't seen it enough around Francouz, around Georgiev, around Saros, these names that I think... I mean, look at the night that Demko had was great, but he faced a ton of shots. And I don't know if I trust him, like you said, to do that consistently rest of season.
Yeah.
To stop those, at least.
The next one here is Ilya Kovalchuk. Like we mentioned, rather maybe I mentioned, that the best possibility for Kovalchuk is getting random lucky and winding up on a Russian line that they might play with. Seems less and less likely. Plus, I mean, he's only played one game, but still, I think he's going to do well in Washington just because that's where he wanted to go, and he's going to play with a little bit of, I don't know about a chip on his shoulder, but he's going to enjoy his time there. but I don't think that's going to make him fantasy relevant, unfortunately. My next one here is Robin Lehner at 62%. I just don't think he's going to get the start share to make him a guy that should be 62% owned. I mean, you see guys like Khudobin and Halak. Halak, actually, I don't know what his ownership percentage is at this point, but I know Khudobin's is pretty low, and I expect them to get about the same amount of start share, and I would probably rather have Khudobin.
I would definitely rather have Khudobin, and he's
pretty
starting to steal some starts.
Yeah. So Lehner at 62% just seems a little high. I think maybe when he plays, he'll be better than he was in Chicago just because there's a better team in front of him. But I don't see why he's being held at this high of a number. Next up here is Mike Green. He played 12 minutes in his first game as an Oiler. He did not get top power play. He probably will not get top power play. And there was a spike in his ownership, which I assume is going to turn around real quick. But if you're questioning it, it should turn around real quick. And the last one here is Vincent Trocheck. I was cautiously optimistic with him going into Carolina, hoping that we'd see him steal that top power play spot from Justin Williams. That has not happened. His minutes are fine. I think he got like 17 minutes. So I think you're basically going to get the same Vincent Trocheck you had on Florida, which is okay. But Trocheck not being on power play 1 is real detrimental to his production. I mean, you see the year that made Trocheck so interesting and made him, a top 5 round pick was the year that he had top power play, and he led the team in power play points that year. He never got it again. I mean, I don't know why, but maybe just because they seem to be pretty good on the power play regardless. They got Hoffman, but it's a real sore spot for Trocheck owners.
That was a true one-hit wonder year in terms of performance.
Well, it's not even a one-hit wonder. I feel like if he does get that deployment again, he's going to be good again. It's just, we'll see. I promise you, if he gets top power play, and by I don't know, top power play, but if he gets high deployment on the power play in Carolina, I would be adding him pretty quickly. But if he's not, I don't really have that much time for him.
Yeah, I agree.
And that wraps up my oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that Trocheck was actually one that if you didn't mention, I was going to talk about. He only played 17 minutes. I mean, I said this on the trade deadline
17 minutes
show as well. It's not, but it's actually less than he was getting in Florida.
Yeah, I don't know that it's indicative of what we'll see going forward, but still.
Yeah, I think if anything, I think they're going to do a little bit more, I wouldn't say more even lines, but I would just expect that at best, Trocheck is as good as he was in Florida this year. That's my take on him. Okay, my next bit here. Well, you talked about Athanasiou and Ennis, so I was going to mention that. That was my third point. So instead, I'm going to switch my third point to tell you about my trade, where I know I told everyone be a little bit cautious with Athanasiou, and I traded for him on the trade deadline. Yes, nice. I did. Yes, big acquisition for the team, first place. The reason I did it, though, just to explain, is that I traded away Anthony Duclair for him. I'm trying to pull up the trade here just to tell you the picks as well, because it was Keeper League. I traded away Duclair and a 6th for Athanasiou and a 9th. That was fine to me. I don't really care too much about picks. I don't care that much. Especially I have 2, 3, 4, and I have a 5. So and a 6, I think, or no, just a 5. Anyways, I don't think it matters that much. But more than anything, I saw Anthony Duclair as a better bet than an Anthony Duclair, or Athanasiou is better than Duclair. Wow, I'm mixing up all my words right now. So many. I know. It's weird. So that's my take on that. I mean, that's kind of how I see Athanasiou as a good longer-term bet than one of these guys who aren't as good of a bet. Like, I would have kept Duclair as a bet, but it's not that high of upside. I'd rather have the upside in Athanasiou.
Yep. All right, my next bit here is that the trade deadline is now over in most, definitely over in the NHL, but also over in just about every fantasy hockey league. So now, especially if you're in a position where you have a bye week coming up, you really need to be thinking about getting ahead of ad drops and maximizing your schedule down the line. This is I feel like I was waiting to mention this because I've already kind of taken this approach in the league that I think people will listen to the show on, and I didn't want them to jumping the gun and doing the same thing I am. So I got all the players I wanted already, and I'm to the point where I have one bench in the 2 weeks that I'll be in the playoffs because I have a bye. And that's definitely what I wanted. It's going to be very, very difficult to beat my team just by sheer volume, which is how I've won the last 2 years, I think, just by volume.
I mean, I can't wait to get to the finals against you, pick up Brett Connolly, and destroy you.
Good luck. I honestly think I'm borderline unbeatable in the semis, but we'll see.
Oh, he just jinxed himself.
And maybe
all the injuries are going to come right now.
I'll need. I do have Stamkos, so we'll see how that goes. But it all depends on whether Vasilevsky returns back to, mid to late season form, or if he keeps doing this beginning season form that he's doing right now with the many, many goals against.
Yeah, you prefer not the many goals against.
I prefer that.
Think. Yeah,
but if he's going to do it, it's fine that he gets it out of his system now.
So I gotta come up with one off the cuff here. I put something about Duncan Keith sneakily playing well, not knowing that you were going to take Duncan Keith as well.
I'm taking everybody.
So I guess I'm just going to mention live streams, Giordano. I suppose. Giordano's almost back too, I suppose, but I more so want to talk about.
Giordano try to do practice on power play too.
He did, but then he didn't play. I think it was more that Gustafsson was going to play that night, power play 1 anyways, and so they were giving him power play 1 time. I think we'll see once he's actually going to play in a game, but I would assume if you're going to have a guy come in that night and play with power play 1, you probably want him practicing with power play 1.
Probably.
That would be my thought. So anyways, what I was going to mention about the live streams is if you haven't joined one of our live streams before, they're a lot of fun. We go through and we just take a bunch of fantasy hockey questions. And I mean, these next few weeks are all going to be crucial for pickups, crucial for making the right ads, the right drops. I think there'll also be a shift in questions from like, should I grab this person, to more shifting towards, should I drop this person, right? If it's a close matchup and let's say you have a player who's only playing 1 game for the rest of the week and they're one of your best, but you just got to get to the finals, like that's a question that's going to be very viable. At what point, can you not handle that 1 game, right? Just try to maximize schedule. So the live stream should happen more frequently. Normally we only do Saturday sit starts, but we're going to try to do it for the next 2-3 weeks. Try to do it as much as we can on the heavy slate days. So pay attention to our Twitter at Fantasy Hockey PD and our YouTube channel where we post the live streams. And they're free, by the way. They're free for anybody that wants to watch. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube already, thank you. And I hope you join our live streams already. But if not, just keep an eye out for them because I think they're pretty useful. They're also fun. Last time we learned about Gretzky 9x9s.
Oh, yeah.
Timmy's. If you don't know what that is and you're from America, like we are,
just Google it
and make sure to have your hands under your mouth because it's going to fall. So
gross.
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody would do that.
I know. But then again, I did drink a White Claw on the last live stream. So people have done worse, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your next one?
My next one is I actually think that there are 0 Anaheim Ducks worth holding rest of season.
Yeah.
In like a 10 or even a 12 person Cats league, I don't think I want any of them. Gibson is replaceable. The big problem, like even if there was somebody that like was on the cusp, like a Ricky Rax or a Henrique or whatever, or Getzlav, their schedule just makes them hard to. They play 2 games on the week of the 9th, and they don't really have any good weeks. So, yeah, I don't think I want any of them. Like Henrique is fine for the time being, but I would not hold on to Henrique into the playoffs. I don't think, unless he's
I agree.
being a complete maniac or something.
I mean, even if you were being a maniac, I think I'd be like,
I don't want. Cool I'm not. There's no Duck that excites me enough to hold them over a 2-game slate. There are 0.
No. Same.
In fact, in pretty much when you're talking about, because that's going to be either quarters or semis for most leagues, and unless I think I have that guaranteed win on that week for I'm playing a team that I'm just significantly better than or something. Even another team, I think it's Calgary, is a team that also has 2 games that week. It's hard. I would drop a lot of players because of that. I don't know about like guys like Goudreau, but like Monahan, I don't think I'd hang on to him. Unless I think I have that on lock.
Goudreau is making a pretty nice comeback right now.
Yeah, but you're still talking about 2 games where you can get 4 out of somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Monahan, I totally agree with.
Yeah, it makes things interesting for sure.
Yeah, especially if you're, say, in a peripheral situation.
Yeah.
Then someone like Goudreau starts to get interesting. You're like, don't need
I
the
still wouldn't drop
points.
Goudreau, especially if it's your quarters, because then you have 2 more
Quarters.
weeks where he's
Yeah,
pretty
quarters
good.
definitely not. I think that's the tougher one. Okay. My get here, right? I go with
Yep.
the next one. Okay. So my 7th one here is this is an interesting one discussion that I've seen recently around different NHL circles amongst TV hosts and such. People have been talking about, should the NHL be using emergency goalies? Like, why is that? Chris Versteeg was one that I recently saw talking about it. And there are a lot of people are actually of the opinion that emergency goalies should not be allowed. And I guess, and no one's giving solutions. Okay. So I'm going to go on the record saying I kind of like that idea of emergency goalies not being allowed. Okay.
It's a weird thing.
But no one's offered a solution. So here's my solution. And I think it's really simple. Just like in soccer, have a player suit up.
Yeah.
Done. You have the gear. Have the player suit up. I mean, granted, you know what? Actually, the pads are pretty tough. But just figure out what player is going to be your emergency player. Have pads in his size. I mean, I don't think that's
just
that crazy.
Skate 6 skaters.
I mean, I think this easiest solution is just have a player suit up.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. And it's more fit. But at the same time, I don't know. I think it's different, right? Because in the situation of Carolina, like in soccer too, it's a little bit different because normally when you end up with no goaltenders, it's because you used up all your subs and then your goalie's going to probably get a red card. Like it's very rare that someone gets an injury that then leads to a player coming in. So normally you're getting double punished for your goalie being bad. In hockey, normally you're not being punished for your goalie being bad. Well, I guess you're being punished for their bodies being bad, but I don't know. It's a tough one because on one hand, like if you put a player in there and they suck, like the team is going to destroy you.
Yeah, but so well, I mean, they would. I don't know what level are these backups though. It's not like they're pro quality or anything.
I mean, this guy apparently. I will actually say I think Scott Foster had better technique. Not that I ever thought I'd be comparing technique of emergency goaltenders, but I do think Scott Foster had better technique than Ayres. I think it's that's a grammar school. I don't know how to say his name. Is it Ayres or Ayres? I think it's Ayres.
It is.
So it's Aries.
I don't think it's Aries.
I don't think so either. Damn. I think it's just Ayres. Or Ayers. With a little thing on the Y. Anyways, I think that they should put a player in. Plus, I just really want to see a player try to play goal. Because I think that would be really, really fun. But I don't know. I think that's the only solution that makes sense though.
Yeah, the way emergency goalies works in general are just super weird. Like the home team provides, it's just such a strange system.
It really is. And the whole, so this guy actually, this one to me is actually a little bit sketch for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now I get, because it could go sketch, like think about it from a gambling perspective, okay? And not saying, I know that they signed something and all of that, right. But from an integrity standpoint, this guy that played against the Canes, and I feel like this hasn't been talked about enough, but the guy that played, David Ayres, I'm calling him Ayres, he practices with the Leafs and is the what's his face? God, I forgot how do I forget
He's
the
a
word
Zamboni driver for the Marlies.
Zamboni driver. I forgot the word Zamboni. He's a Zamboni driver for the Marlies. He's he's literally works for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is a Maple Leafs win not in his best interest? Could the Maple Leafs not make it worth his time? I'm not saying that that would happen, but just from a true integrity standpoint, how is someone allowed to play when they're affiliated with the team?
It's just so weird. It's the weirdest rule that has shown up, at least in the last little bit, a couple of times.
Like, I think that if you were, and not that everything should be looked at from a gambling perspective, but just from an integrity standpoint, I would absolutely ask questions if like he had gotten completely shelled. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like that's not touched on as much. Like, how are there so little rules where a guy that works in your organization, practices with your team, gets to play for the other team, which, mind you, and this, whatever. I just think there is some kind of integrity question there that definitely should be asked.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The whole thing's just stupid.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way. If anything, you should be able to provide the team should be able to bring their own emergency backup, but I don't know what that means. Like a non-pro or something?
I mean, I guess you could have like a goaltender that's, I guess they have these in football, I think, as well, as where like I could be wrong on this, but I think there's like there's a practice roster or something, and you get paid. I think there's
Yeah.
a practice squad, and you get paid to be on the practice squad, and like you never are going to play, but you just kind of are there just in case. Like you could have the same thing for a goaltender, just have like a practice goaltender, and when you need him, you need him.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. My next bit is I've been hearing a lot of questions about Trotz mentioning the return to the two goalie system for the Islanders and what that means for Varlamov and what that means for Greiss. My opinion on it is he didn't really mention that this two goalie system was going to be what they do for the rest of the season. He said for this week, because of the strength of the schedule or whatever, and because there's a matinee game on Saturday, that he'll probably alternate. I think kind of the headlines ran with that a bit and mentioned, kind of alluded that they're going back to the two goalie system and blah, blah, blah. I didn't understand it that same way. I actually think that if that happens, it's good news for Greiss, obviously, because he's been not really getting a whole lot of starts. I think Varlamov had like the last 5 in a row or something. But I honestly think they continue to have Varlamov be their primary starter, even if for the next 4 games or whatever they alternate. I didn't hear it the same way it seemed to be reported.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think it's going to be literally a split. I think it just is just means more starts for Greiss.
Maybe.
I mean, many coaches have said things before and then not done what they said they were going to do. So that could also happen. That's called a lie. So
it's called a lie.
Yes, Trotz, you are a liar sometimes. Sorry to break it to you. My 9th take is actually more of a question, I think, for the viewers who are older than I am. I'm not very old, in case you don't know. Another way of saying I'm sort of young. If you watch the trade deadline, I guess you would know that. But the live stream, not the episode. So don't go looking for anything in the episode. So I think that I saw this discussion the other day, and it was kind of interesting. I wanted to pose it to you and anybody else that's a Ranger fan. Is Panarin the most offensively gifted player in New York Ranger history ever? As in, like, currently his skill level is just off the charts good. Have the Rangers ever had anyone aside from Yager? Yager is probably the only one that has an argument that is better. Maybe is during his time with the Rangers. I don't know. I think that's.
I mean, Yager was the first one that came to mind to me.
Yeah, I mean, he made Peter Pruka.
I don't care
about
the Rangers, so that's easy for me.
I know. That's why you are like, you're just saying whatever right now.
Yep.
That's fine with me. But other people, I think that's a discussion I'd be interested to have in comments or on Twitter. Just that thought of, is Panarin the most offensively gifted player, aside from Yager, that the Rangers have ever had?
Still don't care.
Food for thought.
All right. My last bit, I talked a little bit about the Metro a few weeks ago on 10 Takes. To get back into that discussion, not necessarily about the Metro this time, but just about East versus West. In the goal differential department, so the teams with the more goals for than goals against, the teams that lead that, 6 of the top 8 are Eastern Conference teams. And then also 6 of the top 7 in goals for are Eastern Conference teams. Which is kind of weird and kind of interesting and makes me wonder what the breakdown, and I have not done the research on this at all, but what the breakdown is between East and West fantasy relevance. What percentage of the players that are rostered above, let's say, 50% come from Eastern Conference teams versus Western? I think that'd be an interesting thing to look into, because I bet you it's pretty high on the Eastern side. There's a couple teams on the West that are almost unrosterable, like the Ducks.
Yeah, but then there's the Red Wings.
Yeah, I bet you have Larkin and Mantha. There's 2 players right there that are above 50%. The only one on the Ducks that's above 50%, I guess there's Gibson and Rax. I think are the only ones above 50%. Getzlaf definitely isn't. Raquel isn't. I mean, Henrique isn't.
The West is just weird. I still can't figure out whether it's because it sucks or it's just really even.
I think it sucks. Because I'm sure we could look this up and figure out what the Eastern Conference record is against the Western Conference, but I would guess by the fact that there's so many high point Eastern Conference teams that it skews their way.
That's fair. Probably right. Without doing any research.
With doing zero research other than just eyeballing the numbers. Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. That is a very long 10 takes, 30 minutes almost. So let's now go into the main segment, which is the weekend pickup suggestions, and we start with the schedule. So teams with good matchups are going to be Columbus, who have Minnesota and Vancouver, both at home, both on off nights, and both are arrested Columbus versus tired teams. It's a pretty damn good schedule for Korpisalo this weekend, if you've been holding on to him. The Vegas Golden Knights play Buffalo and Los Angeles, both at home, and they also get a tired Los Angeles team, if I remember correctly. The New Jersey Devils play the Los Angeles Kings and the Anaheim Ducks, and the Pittsburgh Penguins get the Anaheim Ducks and San Jose Sharks. Are you noticing a trend of teams when they have good matchups? They play a certain conference, normally. Teams with bad matchups are going to be Calgary, who play the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. The Carolina Hurricanes play the Colorado Avalanche and the Montreal Canadiens, and the Buffalo Sabres play the Vegas Golden Knights and the Arizona Coyotes. The lone exception to a Western Conference team making a hard schedule because Buffalo should be in the West, given how they play. So should Detroit, honestly. Although, I don't know. Detroit is like the token bad team in the Eastern Conference. I kind of like them for that.
It's supposed to be Ottawa. What happened?
I know. What the hell, Ottawa? Come on. I mean, they couldn't be that bad. They couldn't be as bad as Detroit. They were outdone. They were outdone. Detroit was more of a team than Ottawa was. Shocking, really. Okay, and then teams that play both off nights are going to be Columbus, Philadelphia, Vegas, Anaheim, the New York Rangers, and the Minnesota Wild. So I move into my first short-term target here, and that's going to be, or weekend target rather, that's going to be Nick Foligno, center, left wing, right wing, still only 27% owned. He's playing like
pretty
22, 24 minutes a game with really good peripherals. I'm shocked he's sitting at only 27% still through the week. He had a goal the other day. Nick Foligno needs to be.
He can't do enough right, apparently.
Nope, apparently not.
My first one here is Paul Stastny. I actually have a ton of centers for some reason, but Paul Stastny, center 27%. He's a short-term ad. I think I've seen a little bit of recommendations of him being a longer-term ad. I don't know that I buy him long term. He's not a super exciting player, maybe in a points only league, but I think that for short term, he's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I've been holding him since the beginning of the week. I think we had him on short term targets for the week preview.
In fact, a bunch of the guys on my list here were also on short term.
Yeah, I have quite a few too. But I do have a wild card here. In out of left field, you're never going to expect it. Sonny Milano, left wing, 1%
Sonny Milano
owned.
sucks.
No, playing first line with Getzlaf and Raquel.
He's not good. I know he got 2 goals in 14 minutes, but it's going to be bad.
I just like his opportunity. Look, if you're looking
I thought about putting him on here. I did. But then I looked at him and I was like, it's Sonny Milano, man. He did this one time before where he got 2 or 3 goals and then he just got arrested, actually.
Yeah. The arrested part was not good. But look, if you're looking at 1% guys in your league, that means you're looking for deep guys. And the odds of you getting a 1%er that's on top line are pretty damn low. So for that reason,
super deep league, I guess, sure.
Yes, that's why I like Sonny Milano, because in a super deep league, or for example, in a dynasty league where 1% owned guys can't exist, Sonny Milano is an incredible ad in a dynasty league if he's not owned. I don't even know. He might be available in ours because I had him, then he got arrested, and I was like, I don't want him.
I don't want him now.
There you go.
Can't stash him. He's not minors eligible.
He's not, but he's top line. When are you going to pick up a top line guy this late in the season that's 1% owned?
No, I got Kovalchuk. He's not top line anymore.
Owned, you hack.
I don't think he's 1% owned on Fantrax, I bet. But
who, Milano?
Yeah.
He's probably like 3. Same thing. Same deal. 3%, same deal. Come on.
All right. My next one is Kevin Fiala. Left wing, right wing, 38%. He should be a longer term hold as he's got a pretty good schedule and has been a monster over the last, month, 2 months. Longer than he should. He's done more than enough to be added. So I don't know why he's so available, but he's not in my leagues.
Same. He's not available in my leagues, but I'm shocked that he's still that low. He should absolutely be higher than he is. My last 2 here are going to be from the Vegas Golden Knights, and they both are peas from the same pod, if you will. Ryan Reeves, right wing, 13%, and William Carrier, left wing, right wing, 4%. Ryan Reeves is actually a points option. William Carrier is the actual hits option. Reeves is riding a 3-game point streak.
Oh my God, it's happening again.
He's the man. He is the man. So if you want points, you go Ryan Reeves this weekend over anybody that I mentioned. And if you want hits, then you go Carrier. For those that don't completely get sarcasm, I know there's a few out there. Reeves is not a point option. Get him for hits. I like Reeves over Carrier when it comes to hits, but they're both kind of equal. I'm really annoyed because the person I'm playing in one of my leagues this week to try to secure a bye, I picked up Reeves at the beginning of the week, felt pretty good. Then I forgot that Carrier existed, and they picked up Carrier, and now they're pretty much going to counter my off nights and hits. So that's also an interesting tactic. If your opponent picked up Reeves, and it's close in hits, you can pick up Carrier and probably get pretty close to matching what Reeves does.
Or take both.
Or take both and get so many hits that you break Yahoo.
Yep. All right, my next one is Adam Henrique, which is funny. But
of course,
center 21%.
Can't do
He's a good option. He's the best duck option, probably.
Sonny Milano.
We're going to have to do something about our duck ownership in the cupful, but...
Yeah, I don't know why we have so many.
We have them and a bunch of kings because nobody wants to touch them. And we touch them, and then we wind up winning the league. So.
Yep, we touch all the bad things and win.
Yep. Many bad touches, all the wins.
Oh,
do you have any more?
I'm done with mine. No.
Okay, I got two more.
Okay.
More centers. Eric Stahl is another one, 29%. And then he got a golden assist in his last game, but whatever. And then my last one here is Kevin Hayes, center, 20%. Not the most interesting player. Every time he's on here, it's just because he has a good schedule, but points have been there-ish, and his peripherals have actually been there lately, so makes a decent weekend ad at that. And you know, it'll be a chippy game against the Rangers, so might be able to see something out of him as far as hits anyway.
Yeah.
Plus, he was a Ranger.
Was a Ranger.
So
is that your last one?
That's my last one.
That is your last one. And I have one more. Oh, wait, no. That is a lie. Okay, we will catch you for the... that is called a lie. We will catch you for Sit Start Saturdays. Tune into that live stream. And other than that, yeah, we'll try to put out the week preview a little bit earlier. So because we know that it's going to be a really important one going into playoffs for some people or the last week of the season for others. Pickups and suggestions become more and more crucial. So the onus is on us now to help you guys out and get you to the finish line. So almost there, folks. Hang on in and go get that trophy. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Yep. Thanks for listening.